Alright everybody, so if you don't know my name yet, my name is Mr. Hoover. Tell you guys before, I know there's a couple new faces though. Today we're going to be talking about character sketches. Before we get into that, I have a quick opening question for you. Can you give me an example of a physical characteristic or a personality trait or action of Anne from Anne of Green Gables? You can give me whatever you want, what she looks like, some interactions she's had in the movie. Can anybody give me anything?
Red hair.
She's got red hair. What else? What's that?
Smart.
She's very smart, right.
She has a temper, too.
She has a bit of a temper, yes. What are her interactions like with other people?
Smashing things like
I mean, she did do that, yeah, that is the thing she did. How does she usually get along with people, or is she generally like kind of combative with them? What do you think based off her interactions? 50-50? Right, so if she feels she's respected by somebody, she generally gets along with them, and if she feels disrespected, generally doesn't go so well, right? Alright, so that's just some things to be thinking about. The big things you want to take away from that question is think about physical characteristics and personality traits and actions. Because that's going to help you with your character sketches that you're going to be starting to work on today. So first of all, what is a character sketch? Is everybody Harry Potter fans in here? Everybody like understands Harry Potter? Has you seen the movie or read a book? Alright, so one of the first things people generally think of with a character sketch is physical characteristics. This is one of the first answers we got. We got Anne's red hair was one of the first answers given to me. Things like eye color, hair color, tall, short, round, thin, old, young, middle-aged, and scars or other marks. So if you're going to do a physical character sketch right now of Harry Potter, what are some things you would throw into that? The glasses, right.
the lightning scar.
Yep, the lightning scar on the forehead. Anything else?
He had the lightning scar on the forehead?
Yep, he had like the scar on his forehead. It looked like a lightning bolt.
Yeah, I never do either. Took me from about my score.
But yeah, like if you're reading the books, these are all things that you would pick up from reading it. Having the movies is kind of nice, which like same thing with Anne of Green Gables for you guys. You got to actually physically see those things that are part of her character traits. So one of the big things to remember with doing a character sketch is that you want to assume that the person reading this has no idea about the character you're talking about. So if you were thinking about Anne of Green Gables and you had to explain her like physical characteristics to somebody who's never seen the movie before, what are some main things you think would be in that? Like, so like if you were thinking of, so obviously have you seen Anne of Green Gables before at all? I didn't think you had. What are some things when you think of Anne, like how she looks? Like if she was standing up here right now, what would she look like? What are some major things you need to tell about her? So we already said the red hair. What else about her makes her stand out? Right. So that's more of her actions and personalities, which we can move on to here shortly. But like what eye color is she? How tall is she? Is she old, young? Just things that are going to help people understand. So think if you were explaining yourself to someone but they couldn't actually see you. You'd have to think about what makes you, like, so you're a high school student, you're a boy or a girl, tall, short, hair color, things like that. So those are all things that are important and kind of help understand what the character looks like. But one of the biggest parts of the character sketch and where you're really going to have to work to get like some good examples is their actions and personality traits. So who do they spend their time with? Are they upper class? What do they do for fun? So like if you're thinking about these aspects of Anne, who are some people she spent a lot of time with? Diane, right. Who was another kind of character that she mends things with at the end that she was always with? Gilbert, right. How about who she lived with? Right, so were they, do you think they were middle class, upper class, lower class?
Like probably middle upper because they owned the
Right. Right. So these are all parts of your character sketch that you're going to get from your character, where they come from, their background and everything. But there are other parts of it too, so it's other things like we talked about how Anne treats people. So if they're good to her, generally she's good to them, and even when they might not be so nice to her, she still tries to mend that gap, and she generally tries to apologize, even if she's not always so sincere. So when you're writing your character sketches, you're going to be writing about a character from Anne of Green Gables unless you didn't see it. If you didn't see it, I'll talk to you and I'll tell you what your project will look like. But just keep in mind all those different aspects of potential things for a character sketch. So the next thing we're going to talk about before we get into another activity is persona. So the persona is how you're viewing the person you're describing. So when you're watching a movie, you get to see multiple personas because the persona of how Gilbert views Anne might be different than how Diane views Anne. So when you're writing your paper, you're going to be writing from the persona of just an audience member that was watching the movie. So all those things we talked about so far with how you viewed Anne so far and what you saw in the movie, that's how you're going to view it, but you can use those relationships you saw to help with your explanation of what she looked like. And for you that won't be doing Anne of Green Gables, if you're doing a different movie character or a friend, you can think about how other people viewed them as well. Tie that into how you would describe them. So, what we're going to do right now is I'm going to hand out a paper with you, and we're going to go over it together. So what we're going to do here is, if it's a if it's a physical characteristic, we're going to underline it. But if it's more of just explaining her personality or just physical, or actions, we're going to circle it. And we'll go through it and do it together. So we're going to need pencils for this. You're Sean. Nice to meet you. RJ?
Yeah, every
All right, I can do that.
can't be ominous.
Yo,
Where do you
my middle lip. Some people call it RJ, some people call it Red. Yeah, it's a lot of people call me Red.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a few sentences for you, and then I'm going to ask you different things you're pulling from what you're hearing about this character, Mary Smith. So everybody follow along with me, and we'll go over this together. My sister Mary is a hothead. She has tendencies to overreact to things. She has always been something of a drama queen. So based off of just that first line right there, what have we already learned about Mary?
She's a drama queen.
She's a drama queen, so circle drama queen. What else about Mary?
She's a hothead.
She's a hothead, so circle hothead. And there's one more thing that I pulled out of that as well. Can anybody find that?
Overreacts to things.
Yep, she overreacts to things. So we're circling hothead, she overreacts to things, and that she's a drama queen. So these are all just different actions and character traits of her, not necessarily things that look at her or her physical appearance. It's she's a hothead, she overreacts to things, and she's a drama queen. Scott, I'll grab you one. Scott? So Scott, those ones we just circled then. Do you have a paper, Scott? Alright, when she tells a story, I always know that much of it is exaggerated, for effect, of course. And she sure knows how to use body language. She can take a minor incident and blow it way out of proportion. So what else have we learned so far from those sentences?
She exaggerates.
She exaggerates things, right. What's that? Circle that. Yep, you're going to circle that she exaggerates things. And that last sentence I just read, she can take a minor incident and blow it way out of proportion. So that's a pretty important line, too, to realize she can be a little dramatic. So you're going to circle she can exaggerate things, and she can take a minor incident and blow it way out of proportion. Once I borrowed her favorite blouse when she wasn't home. She was waiting at the door when I got home and almost ripped it off me. If my mom had intervened when she heard the noise, I don't know what might have happened. So what did we learn about her from that story she just told? Yeah, she's violent. So you're going to want to circle she was waiting at the door when I got home and almost ripped it off me. She's very violent and confrontational.
Tyler, you getting these? Because we're doing it together.
Wait, what do we circle?
So you're going to circle that she was waiting at the door when I got home and almost ripped it off me. If you want to make a note, she's very violent or confrontational, that's good as well. So based off this first paragraph, what have we learned about Mary so far? What are some things you would think of when you think of Mary?
She's mean.
She's mean, right. Anything else?
She's
Bitter? Definitely, you could definitely assume that from her. This is all we know about Mary so far, so anything you're feeling is potentially right.
She's physical.
Yeah, she can definitely be physical. Like she said, she ripped the dress off of her sister pretty much.
temper problem.
Yeah, so she definitely might have a temper problem. So these are things when you're writing your character sketch you're going to want to think about as well, because like I said, you're going to assume the person reading this has never met the character you're describing before. So let's move to the second paragraph. Mary has had a hard time keeping friends. She is very pretty with piercing blue eyes, long blonde hair, and a great figure. But girls tend to be leery of her. So what have we learned about Mary in those sentences?
Blue eyes.
She has blue eyes, right. She's very pretty with piercing blue eyes. What about her? What else about her appearance?
Is that
Underline that. Yep, yeah, that's going to be a physical appearance, so you're going to want to underline that one. Long blonde hair. She has a great figure, so she's in shape. Also, one thing that happened before that that's not a physical attribute. What else do we learn about her from that first sentence?
Hard time meeting friends.
Right. So you're going to want to circle she has a hard time keeping friends. So circle hard time keeping friends, and you're going to underline all of her physical attributes. So very pretty, piercing blue eyes, long blonde hair, and a great figure. Everybody caught up so far? I think people get tired of trying to figure out how to act around her. She is very friendly one day and icy the next, and she thinks all boys belong to her. So we just learned some more revealing things about her. What else do we learn from that? What's that?
She likes boys.
She does like boys. She thinks they all belong to her. Gentlemen, in the back, can you tell me anything else we learned in those sentences? So, how does she treat people day to day? Right, but where's the, there's an example in there that says about one day she does this, the next she does that.
Well, she's very friendly one day and icy the next.
Right, she's friendly one day and icy the next, so circle that. Also, we're going to want to circle she gets tired of trying to figure out, or people get tired of trying to figure out how to act around her. So she kind of gives people one thing one day and another the next, but she expects them to kind of know how to treat her. She actually punched her best friend in the hall one day at school when she found out they liked the same boy. And Mary ignored the boy when he called her to ask her about the fight. So what do we really learn about her there?
She punched her friend.
Right, she punched her best friend, so clearly she's not that good of a friend, right? So for this last paragraph, I want you to just read it. In about 2 minutes, we'll go over it, and we'll just pick out some different things. So try and find at least 2 things to underline and 2 things to circle in this last paragraph before we go over it.
Yeah.
Why are the clocks 2 hours ahead?
I was gonna ask. That's why I'm gonna go slide.
What's that? Are the minute hands on time now? Just make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
My phone is correct. Okay.
It's 12:30.
About 12:40 right now.
12:38.
All right, so what are some things we found in that last paragraph?
Alright.
they told her to clean up the house, and she got very angry. And I underlined that, and I put to clean up the house because she got angry because she didn't
Right.
want to clean up the house.
Right. So that's more of a characteristic instead of a personal trait. So you're going to want to circle that. Yep, circle that one. There are some things to describe her physical appearance in this, though. Did anybody find any of those?
Pupils turning a little dark.
Yep. Yep. The whites of her eyes seem to expand rapidly as her pupils turn into little dark bullseyes. So the second sentence there, you can underline all of that. There's another physical appearance that comes after that one yet, too. Can anybody tell me what that one is?
The face reddened.
Yep. Her face reddened and her breathing became short. And the last one, yep, that's perfect. That's another of her, that's your one you're going to circle. So she turned her radio up as high as the speakers would go and slammed her door. So in the 3 paragraphs we read about Mary, what would you assume you would expect to see her if you were watching her in a movie scene right now? What would you expect from her? What she look like? What would she do? So, what are her facial appearance? What's her facial appearance look like? So think back to like eye color, hair color, blonde hair, blue eyes. Yep.
Crazy.
She's crazy. Yeah, you could definitely say that. What's some things she's done that give you that idea that she's crazy?
Punched her best friend.
Yeah, she punched her best friend. What's that?
Slamming doors.
Slamming the door. Yep.
Screaming.
Yep. What's that? Yeah, she thinks she owns every boy, which is definitely something that's not a normal thing people think. So definitely the reason I want to do this, you guys, is going to give you ideas of what to think about when you're writing your character sketch for your character from Anna Green Gables. So now what I did for you is what makes a good character sketch. Does anybody know who this is? What movie character this is? It's one of my favorite movies. Oh wait, don't cheat.
I don't know who it is.
So I was trying to read it, and maybe it would give me the answer. And
Yeah. So this is James Francis Ryan from the movie Saving Private Ryan. Has everybody seen Saving Private Ryan?
Nope.
Has anybody seen it? It's one of my favorite
I've
movies.
seen like 5 minutes of it. And
Right.
cable went out,
So after we go over the different things that make up for a good character sketch, I'm going to show you a character sketch I did about Private James Francis Ryan. So if you've seen the movie, hopefully you can help relate it. So one of the things you're going to want to first do is use plenty of details to help a reader visualize the character, but still give them room for their own opinion. So you're going to want to make sure they have a basic understanding of what they look like, but the way you view somebody is going to be different from someone else. So you don't want to be too biased in your description. You just kind of want to give the basics so they can kind of determine from there. Especially if you're doing it from a movie standpoint, because they're going to get to see the character too anyways. The next is start with characteristics you're comfortable and familiar with. Generally physical characteristics like being male or female, tall or short, skinny or round. But if you know there's certain parts of the character that you definitely could tell that everybody would know from seeing the movie, definitely feel comfortable to use those right away. And then the final one, imagine you're introducing your reader to one of your best friends. What qualities would you tell about them? So these are the things that are really important about the character. You don't want to just talk about things that really don't matter to the character development or the character itself. So what I'll do now is I'll pull up the character sketch I did on James Ryan. James Francis Ryan from Saving Private Ryan is a tall, slender man of decent build from his time serving in World War II. His short brown hair and clean-shaved face make him look like your typical G.I. Joe, but his tattered and worn uniform show that he has been fighting for quite some time in Europe. Growing up in the countryside on a farm somewhere in Indiana, he tells stories and talks about his early life. Growing up with his family, this farm boy persona is shown in the way he talks and moves about as well. So what do you know about James Francis Ryan based off what he looks like so far from what you've read?
Clean shaved face.
Right. He's tall? Yep. What else? What about his background? Where's he from?
Or no. Yeah.
Yep, he's from Indiana. Where did he grow up? What kind of what kind of home did he grow up in? Countryside. He's a farm boy, right? Now moving on, what you're going to want to try and do is separate that the physical characteristics from your actual attributes about the character, as far as like their actions and personas and things like that. So the second paragraph, I'm going to talk a little more about what the character actually does. Private James Francis Ryan is one of the focal characters in Saving Private Ryan. Private Ryan is a member of the 101st Airborne Division in Baker Company, 1st Battalion, 506th PIR. He is the youngest of 4 brothers who are all fighting overseas during World War II. Private Ryan is the last living brother and is supposed to be sent home, but because he is a dedicated and loyal man, he refuses. He stays and fights with his brothers in his battalion despite an opportunity to be sent home safe and sound. Some of the members of the rescue squad see him as selfish because other men had died trying to find him. But to the audience, he seems like more of a hero and selfless man, willing to risk his life for others. So one thing that I wanted to show you guys that was important about this is he makes the decision to stay when he could have been sent home because they wanted to keep his mother from losing all of her sons. But he decides to stay and fight, which men in his battalion think is an honorable thing. Gentlemen, can we put the phones away? But to the people that were coming to find him, they kind of see that as selfish because people died along the way. So one thing that can be beneficial in a character sketch is showing opposing views, which is where going back to that persona that I talked to you about earlier is beneficial in helping kind of establish that idea. So do we have any more questions about character sketches or anything we're going to be doing?
Isn't it in the movie like they thought he was dead and everything?
What's that?
The movie. Didn't they think like he was dead?
Yeah, they weren't sure if he was alive or not because they spent all this time searching for him. So then they finally found him after a couple guys had died.
And like he was like, no, I'm not leaving my men.
Right.
And the people that went to go find him actually stayed and like he lived.
Right. So initially the men that stayed that were going to find him, they weren't happy with him for deciding not to leave because they had gone all this way trekking through the middle of World War II to find this guy.
It's like it's not an option. It's undemanding.
Right. Right. Yep. Technically, he broke a law in disobeying order, but that was just one of the things that make him an interesting character, and you get both sides of the story with that. So, any other questions about character sketches before we go to set up your headers and stuff for your paper? All right. So proper MLA format, you guys have definitely done this before. I just want to break it down for you, and we're going to do this together. I can either keep this up, or I can type up a document alongside with you guys, and you can just follow what I'm doing. Which would you prefer?
What do you think?
What's that?
Like, sorry, I was reading. Like, what did you think?
Oh, so I can either, right here is the proper way to break down your MLA format, which I'll go over everything in a second. And then right here is exactly what you're going to need to put at the top of your paper. So I'll come around, and Mrs. Timberlow and Mrs. Bannies can help as well. But the thing with MLA header is you need to be double-spaced, 12-point font, and in Times New Roman. So if you don't have a laptop right now, just kind of jot notes down, and we can help you out eventually with this. But right now, we'll set that up. So would you rather me just have this up, or would you rather me type it with you? This is fine? All right. So I'll be around to help you out with this.
You might also need to change your margins.
Yeah, I'll help you with that as well. Your margins might be a little off.
When you go to margins, because I have double space and everything but margins.
So we're going to put it down here.
You might.
You asked me to
Oh, I don't know what I know.
And see the margins.
Yeah, you want to know if you this kid.
Guys, I don't mind if there's talking as long as there's working going on.
Is the library one? The library one. We're gonna have a charger. Just for having a charger.
You will need laptops the rest of the week, so you need to make sure that you have them.
Yes.
They run out. That's not on
I don't want to
them or
Is that right?
me. It's on you. So you need to come prepared.
Yes, so we're on.
That's perfect.
Office, 365.
We can delete whatever you want to do.
They're probably at lunch.
Can I also save it to like the screen?
You're just going to take that exactly like that.
Yeah, but then that's where you won't be able to get it.
say this.
We mess with each other, but
Make sure.
Because it will only be saved on my computer, not your. Hey,
Bobby, you can't type with a blank screen.
It died.
It died. You need a charger?
No. Well, you need to do it, so is it your computer or is it the library computer? Okay, so we have chargers.
I haven't even opened it.
So we're coming here to do work.
November 2000.
Is the office charger?
Nope,
They don't tell. Just type exactly that.
we find out after the fact why.
I'll make it out.
Wow, this is so small.
Charger.
Well, that's cool. Right here where the state is. Just hit that once.
Seeing it over.
So it's the times
For both courses? You're gonna do both of them?
right there, it's right next to the park, and then you Then what should I save this on?
What's that?
What should I save this on?
Should you save this on? Save it onto your.
Do
Do they have like Office 365? Yeah, save it on the Office 365. Call characters.
I can hook characters back to
Characters.
What and why?
Munchies, got the munchies, right? Dude.
Okay, so after I do that, what's next?
We had to go down right and see if you see.
So
Break it down, and then about air conditioning. Flash the light. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I'm getting in trouble with that.
And you're gonna type exactly what I have here. Everyone, make sure when you go to for your name, you're actually putting your name. Don't write your name. We had that problem last week with some people.
Someone put your
They put
name.
your name instead of
What?
the first class. I put Mr. Hoover, and they put Mr. Hoover instead of their name. So
Put your name instead of Mrs. Timberlake?
nope, you're gonna put Mrs. Timber's name.
Not Tim. No, that smells right. What I did.
I'll come over and help you in a second.
Where? Oh, I obviously don't have anything. I feel
Clearly.
Now I'm back. I should have went I did. They accused me of stealing lunch. Honestly, double emphasis on that.
Misses.
If you think I'm right on that,
6, 11, 6, 7, 8. Boy.
Because that's how they want to. You're just asking stupid questions and you're not.
Okay.
Which are obviously going to offer leave you in the wonder. Don't ask them.
I really want to do too much in class. I feel like, I got either time on top or a wonder.
No, dude, they accused me though, dude.
Oh, that's dirty.
They always, I know. They always do it.
Can I wash
Bro, I don't care. I'll plug it in a water table.
There's 2 coins and you got it right that's behind.
First time I did it. You used to have this. Or was it you?
Not every beginning of my charger was
Because if you keep that from extra space between the
You know, this is war.
Oh, I see it.
Canyon, but they are supposed to be open right now.
Does anybody else need some help with this?
I mean, yeah, get Mr.
Because on the
King
door,
get on.
sorry, just like, drop on the door, says that the door's closed.
No.
Oh, okay, now it's working.
If the door's closed, we're, like, not open.
According to the schedule they sent us, they're open.
So right now we're setting up your header,
12:19.
and once I pass up the rubric, we're going to use because you're going to be doing.
I don't know, I still think it's slower.
You were there at the beginning, Josh, you want me to send it out?
Yeah,
Well,
you're
I
right.
don't reading, but I
Just
just,
yep.
Okay. I'll just send it.
It'll all explain that. I promise.
Alright.
I'm sure both on.
You have to be on this.
No, since you didn't get to watch it, we're gonna do a different time with you. I'm gonna let you do the different
you can put me on the back there.
book. You can just best rate whatever you want to do. You're gonna do the same exact things, then just put that here.
Double.
So I'll set it out.
Wait, why did I actually?
So make sure you're on time zero.
Newspaper. What's that? Newspaper.
Not charging because they're gonna help you with your character.
Hey, can I have my,
Tell me to go down.
Like 5, 8 minutes.
I even pressed
writing.
it.
That's yours? You can have it.
Boy.
It's probably just because have you been on a laptop here yet? This is the first time, so it's probably trying to get all this.
Right up.
Oh, that's glitchy.
I think so, but they'll tell you.
I mean, I can jot it down on a piece of paper for now.
There you go. And then make sure it's 12 times.
Here we go again.
Yep.
I don't know.
And then right
I've
now,
got that
make
much
sure you
time.
have space.
I've wrote typed 4
Yep,
Oh,
right there. That, you're
Where you
gonna
saving
double.
it to?
And then before you start typing, right click down here.
Right?
Yep, right click.
Oh, right. When did you say the last one?
2 5. Little click down. There you
Okay.
What time is class over there?
103.
go. And then go to 0.
For this one?
Yep, all the way to 0.
Okay, no, that would
Yep, yep. And then you just flip it on and type. Yep, and now I'm going to give you the rubric. We're going to go over what you're going to be doing on the paper then.
Alright, so type in my name.
Type in your name. Yep. I'll be right back in just a second.
Yes, sir.
I can stand this up.
Alright, so I'm going to hand out your rubrics for this right now, and we'll go over it.
Tyler, you're. Maybe it's just my vision.
Folks, you couldn't get your laptop working or something didn't happen right for you, just make sure you're jotting down all this information so you can do it when you get to a computer.
And like for type in double space. So the real has to be capitalized like that?
There's quite a few people that have not turned in Anne of Green Gables.
my turn to?
Who's mine?
Don't.
No,
Just make sure you save it. So you
I have neither Bartlow's, nor do I have
It's on its
Bartow.
way.
What?
It's a 60-point grade, you're gonna wanna turn it in.
Yeah, I'm probably good.
Tyler have his in.
Does anybody else need help setting up their header?
No, Tyler does not.
Are we set up? Are we safe?
See, bad.
I was gonna say, yeah, yes, I have found it.
One drive.
It's gonna go up in the
One drive. Yeah.
Oh, still coming.
I just put SK.
Everything set up.
EGTTCH.
I'm not sure.
You're set up
Close enough, right? Not
Marlo, didn't you just ask for help and now you're helping?
Sorry.
You know what you're doing?
Of course.
Did you talk to somebody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I need help with that work.
Okay.
Alright guys, so real quick I'm going to go over the rubric with you. So first of all, you're going to get 5 free points if you set up this header right today. So if you have any questions with that, please ask us. We are giving you 5 free points for that. It's got to be 1 paragraph long, and then we're looking for physical characteristics and actions of the character as well. So that's going to be 5 points each. Mr. Turnbull, how many of each do you want? How many of each do you want as far as physical characteristics and their actions of the characters?
5 each.
5 each? So you have to have 5 physical characteristics and 5 actions of the character. You can choose whichever character you want from Anna Green Gable. Just make sure you can explain them well. So does anybody have any questions on what's expected of you from the rubric?
Do we just put these in bed?
What's that?
Put them in the bed? Or are you just talking
Keep them so when you're writing you remember what you're looking at, what you should be
Put your
doing.
name on it.
Yep. Yeah, you can say
Can I take my computer back to the library?
Yeah. Make sure you save
Never, I'll take mine.
I did say that.
So yours is
So on the screen, now so I have for other Tuesday.
Miss Tumbrel, I'm putting your charger back. I just want to let you know.
Alright.
Well, how did you get that first?
Just let us know what you decide to do then.
They got to see.
What?
Oh, I'll say about that.
Alright. If you have any questions, just let us know. We'll help you through it. Alright, thank you. If you want to take that back.
Well, are you gonna need it for next time?
No, you can take it back. Everybody has to get it back.
Are you here? I'll be here.
I'll be here until December 6th, and then I'll be on break for a month, and then I'll be back the rest of the year.
Oh,
Yep.
Maybe. I'm writing a face. I don't know if I'm not that tracking right. Your brain. Your brain is not working properly.
Man, with these.
This one might be.